president when Martin Luther King was killed. I was 21 years old. I was a senior at Georgetown. I was supporting Robert Kennedy. And it was a really interesting thing. There were lots of interesting parallels between Bobby Kennedy and Gene McCarthy in this current race, and some that were different. But most of the blue-collar folks that knew they needed a president were for Kennedy. Most of the university students who wanted a feeling of change were for McCarthy, and they thought he had a purer position on the Vietnam War. I was for Kennedy, but I was a blue-collar guy even though I was in university. And I remember so well watching Bobby Kennedy here the night Martin Luther King was killed. Then I was in Washington at Georgetown. The city exploded in flames, and I turned my car into an ambulance, and I took supplies to the African Americans that were burned out of their homes and were hiding in church basements, basically, trying to stay alive, and surrounded by National Guardsmen protecting them. It was a long time ago. But I always thought America would have been a very different place if Robert Kennedy had lived, because he wanted to be the candidate of people who had hopes and dreams, and also the candidate of people who could barely keep body and soul together. And I have been very honored in this campaign that his three most politically active children are passionate supporters of Hillary's. And if you read, in all respect, the Kennedy family is divided like a lot of Kennedys. Jesse Jackson and his son, the congressman, are for Senator Obama. Jesse Jackson's wife and his son, the businessman, are for Hillary. Ted Kennedy's for Senator Obama. Bobby Kennedy's kids are for Hillary. It's fascinating. But if you listen to them and listen why each made the choice they did, you will see what your choice is. Because Senator Kennedy said, my candidate's like my brother. He symbolizes change. He gives us a feeling that we've begun again. And that's true. And Bobby Kennedy's kids said, yes, but we're glad Hillary has our father's seat in the Senate because she's more like him. She makes change in other people's lives. She is in this. And you just have to decide what's more important to you. And it ought to be a clear choice. But I would be here for her if we had never been married, because I think she's the best change maker I've ever known. Our daughter, you know, got a lot of publicity a couple of days ago. She was campaigning somewhere and they asked her if she thought her mother would be a better president than me, and she said, yes, I do. So the press had a field day. They were just gigging me with it, you know, and I said, well, so the girls in my family stick together. What can I tell you? But the serious answer is, I agree with my daughter. She's the best qualified person I ever had to support. And I think if this energy plan and the health care plan, the education plan passes, you will get more prosperity, more broadly shared when she's president than you did when I was president. That's what I believe. But it's because she's a change maker. You know, there are 65 to 85 people from Arkansas have gone all over America campaigning for Hillary. They helped her win in New Hampshire against all the odds. And they go around with this little brochure they wrote, talking about how she founded a preschool program in Israel and brought it to the Mississippi Delta to teach young women with no education to be their children's first teacher. And how many kids it gave a different start to. And now they have programs in 26 states, and thousands of kids every year get off to a different start. They have no clue the role Hillary played in their lives, and she doesn't care, but she just made changes. She brought health care to rural areas that never had it. She personally founded and raised the money for America's first rural development bank. Muhammad Yunus of Bangladesh won the Nobel Prize 2 years ago, and I campaigned for him for 14 years to get it, with that kind of rural loans. She set up a bank like that in rural Arkansas in 1983 for women and men that lost their jobs on farms and factories, and it's still going to get guns. That's one of the reasons she got 70% of the vote in the Democratic primary. And swept through across all racial and income lines. They know her. They know she's an agent of change in other people's lives. A dozen farmers from upstate New York, which is heavily Republican. A lot of you don't know this. New York's more like Indiana than you think. The Democratic areas are New York City, Buffalo, our big collar counties. 40 of our 62 counties voted for President Bush over John Kerry. They are agricultural, rural, Republican counties. Hillary got 60% of the vote running for re-election there. And New York farmers went all over America campaigning saying, look, you ought to be for this woman. She's the only person that understands real agriculture and the only person that ever tried to do anything for us family farmers and make rural life sustainable in our area. You ought to be for her.